Hello and welcome everybody to the Bye Round International Preview. I'm your host, James Graham. Just a quick refresher. So it's been a crazy week with all the R360 news. Michael Chamas was in the building at the time of that all breaking. So we did a Midweek Matters podcast, which has affected the order of events with the round table, but that will be coming Tuesday and Thursday. We thought it's important to drop this episode on Sunday, give you all that international flavour. Speaking of international flavours, we've brought in none other than the Culture Vulture.
Culture Vulture?
Josh Hodgson.
Like that. How are you, mate?
I'm going good, Hodgie. Just nice to catch up with you. Took you for a bit of breakfast. Good to see nothing's changed. I always have to pay.
You're joking, aren't you? You can peel an orange in his pocket, this man. I told you before.
It's funny, you know, we were actually just talking about how it's rugby league, sports and relationships, how you're so bonded, united under the common cause. It's the situation that brings you together. Yeah. The situation changes. Obviously, you can't be on tour forever. And then, like, communication just, it's not quite the same, but then you see each other after however many months or years, and it's all back on for young and old.
It's always the same, mate, and it's nice to see you with your Aussie phrases on for young and old and all that, mate.
That's not an Aussie phrase.
Nice to see you changing and forgetting where you're from, so it's always nice to give you a dig when I get a chance. But no, you're right, mate. It's one of them things, everyone's got kids and families and busy with work and everything else, so it's always nice to catch up with you, mate.
Yeah.
Even if you are tight as cramp.
Speaking of work, Hodgie, currently in a role with the Parramatta Eels.
Yep.
The 17s, is that correct?
Yeah, the 17s again this year. We've got a really promising group this year that a lot of them will be a year young, and there's some really good kids coming through our system, and I think anyone that follows sort of the junior leagues, you can see a lot of those kids that are Harold Matts and SG Ball and all those sort of progressing really well, especially the boys that are that little bit older that can go from SG Ball to Flegg and Flegg to New South Wales Cup, and then you look at kids like Riley Smith and kids like that have come through our system in the last couple of years that are now playing first grade, Sam Tuvati, all these types of kids. Big nursery of kids down in Parramatta, so it's really important you get it right, and I think the 17s age especially is, in my opinion, a really critical one to get right, because it's such a big jump from local to junior reps with the amount of detail.
And you're enjoying that for the time being, but obviously you got aspirations to become assistant coach at NRL level, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's the plan. I love what I do. I love helping the kids, especially, you know, those from, you know, rough backgrounds, and maybe I haven't had the opportunity to have a lot of help in terms of the diet and the sleep and all those kind of things that kids don't really think too much about. But yeah, I want to coach NRL, and just got to bide your time and wait for an opportunity. Obviously, like yourself, played the game a lot out here, and I know that doesn't always make you a good coach, but I think it's really important when you retire not to forget what the feeling was like when you was a player, what they need, what they're feeling. So I always try and remember those moments, and hopefully that'll put me in good stead in the next few years once I get a chance. Yeah,
it's obviously, knowing you like I do, I think most importantly, Hodgie, when I think about you, I think about temperament. And look, I'm an emotional roller coaster, but you're always pretty calm and steady, which I think is good for a coach. I know you could get emotional at times, but it was always methodical. It was always thought out, thorough in your preparation as a player. And it's great to hear you talk about that, not forgetting those players' needs, because sometimes, you know, in my role now, I finished playing 2020, which is like 5 years ago, where you go, you can forget that, like, what it's like in the dressing room. And from this position, you can be like, well, just sort your head out and let's just go. Come on, you're playing the game you love. Like, what do you mean? What can possibly be wrong? Like, I look back and go, I had the best life ever. I didn't always realize it at the time.
Yeah.
But now in retrospect, I look back and go, well, it was the best time of my life. Like, you feel like giving yourself a slap and saying, sort your head out, mate. It doesn't get any doesn't get any better on the other side. Like, you've got to make the most of your opportunities, but knowing, like, you can quickly forget that, but having a strong sense of knowing that it might just need a fine tune here, there, a conversation, a level of understanding, and even that knowledge that things do get better and we can work our way through this.
Yeah, I think I had this conversation with one of my close mates who was still playing. He was having a bit of a tough year, and just sort of spoke to him and said, look, mate, I've been one of the worst for what you just said, and I think for me, because I was so competitive, when I was in poor form, it just sort of doubled down because I'd be so hard on myself. And then when you retire, you realise, like, what was I stressing about? Like, I wish I'd have just gone back and enjoyed it more and just backed myself more. And I loved it. I loved every training session every day. But internally, that fight I always had in myself and how I'd be hard on myself and not just enjoy it as much as probably what I should have done, even though I did. I tried to explain that to him, and he sort of said, oh, really? Like, is that what you reckon? I said, mate, he said, oh, thanks. That's helped so much. So when you're in that little bubble, it's hard to escape that, because it's your life, and people just think, you go to training, go home, what a job. It's your life. You can't just go to the beach on a Saturday if you've got a game on a Sunday, because you just can't do that. Your family's life, you've got to be selfish. And with that comes this little clouded bubble where you think everything is rugby league, but it's not.
Yeah.
So having that little balance is what I try and sort of help people with now, especially once they get first team.
When you speak about being in that bubble and almost a bit of a selfish approach, it's probably not too dissimilar in coaching. Living in Central Coast, I'm like, with coaching probably comes the need to, or have the flexibility to get up and move. And obviously people have said it to me, like, oh, well, you moved from England. So yeah, but I'm settled here. Like, I don't necessarily want to move again. Is this a conversation that you've had with your loved ones at home about, the potential to maybe we have to move to pursue this life, this career?
Yeah, we've discussed that, and we've discussed it with the kids as well. I always like to involve them in what I think in the future will happen and where we could go and all these sort of situations, and they're fully on board. And at the moment it works well because all my training, all my games are on a weekend, obviously, and the training's always on a night or on an afternoon. So the days are sort of drop the kids off. I get to see them every morning, and it works well. But obviously, they know if I get an NRL opportunity that we'd all, move so you're close and you're very hands-on every time you needed, you're around the corner, all that kind of stuff. And like yourself, mate, it's hard when your kids are settled and they know where they want to live, but at the same time, they've got a pretty good life too, no matter where we go, especially if we get an opportunity like that. So it's one of those things where you can't give them absolutely everything they want, but you're getting that balance where you want to keep them sort of in the area where they're at for as long as you can anyway.
You know what, Hodgie, while you're here, for our Australian listeners, the job that Willie Peters has done at Hull KR, you played at that football club. I played against that team. Very much my memories of Hull KR, horrible place to go. Yeah, always give us. They seemed to peak against St Helens. It was, I don't know what it was.
Saints at home was always one where we thought, well, we might get him here.
Yeah. Well, I can remember some absolute wars that we had. Up at Craven Park. But the reality of it is, it was like, this is a bit of a bogey team. This is a team that's going to be fighting to stay in the league. And there was even times where they got relegated, came back in. Fast forward to 2025, and they're the treble winners under the guidance from Willie Peters, who now comes into the shop window with what he has achieved there. But what's been behind this? You probably would know more than most with the changes at Hull KR and everything that they've achieved.
Well, I think, people don't understand how much resources and finances can make a big difference. And obviously they understand that in football, for the Australian listeners, soccer. They understand that there. Look at Man City. They get a lot of money. Yeah. You can buy good players. You can make your training grounds a lot better. You can employ more staff. And for the longest time, Neil Udgell, alongside a bloke called Rob Clossland, who's unfortunately passed away a few years ago now, But Neil Hudgell's been putting on a lot of money sort of by himself over the years, and we was sort of always a team where we had that potential, we had the fan base, we had good kids coming through, but it wasn't a club that was rich with finances, and by the sounds of it, when I've gone home, they've got some real backers on the board now who can help Neil, and have put a lot of money into the training facilities. I know they've got plans underway for maybe a stand at the far side where there's nothing there. And also, I think they're maybe looking at plans for the field behind there to have a training complex similar to the NRL. So with resources, allows a coach to do what he does best, and that's coach. And I think people don't sometimes understand that, even at an NRL level. I'm sure there's clubs where the board has a bit of a say on, what players are coming in and what players aren't. And I'm sure they've allowed Willie and trusted Willie to coach and sign players who he believes is going to make the best team. So alongside the leadership of the bloke who owns it, being on the same page is, as you know, mate, in any organisation, you've got to be on the same page if you're the head of the snake. And them two seem to be, and Willie's done a fantastic job. Like some of those kids that just started out, you could see they had potential, and what he's sort of done to help their career, Mikey Lewis and Jeslett, and all these kids, and even other kids. I think it's Batchelor he's gone there and done a great job.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these kids that was just great work ethic players, and other teams you maybe sort of overlook them if you don't know a bit about rugby league. But he's got an eye for work ethic, and he's got an eye for potential, and he's brought out the best in them all. And to be from Hull and see a whole team do the treble is unbelievable. To win any trophy is unbelievable from there. But to do the treble, the city is, honestly, it's alive. And I know there's a big rivalry, but as a Hull person, I'd love it if Hull KR are top and Hull FC are second. So Hull FC are getting a lot better. They look like they made a lot of strides this year, so it'll be interesting for next year. But Hull KR have done an absolute fantastic job, and the coaching that they've got down there is, you can obviously see the progressions year on year. They've got better.
Well, that's it. When they got to the final, the grand final last year, like, it was take your hat off them. But we've seen clubs do that before.
Yeah,
make a grand final. Castleford, Hull FC, even in 06. We've seen Warrington get there, and that's sort of their like, oh yeah, we've done that, and then they fall off the cliff. Salford, another team that made a grand final not that long ago.
There's only, I think before Hull KR, there's only 4 teams that's actually ever won the grand final.
Saints, Wigan,
Leeds,
Bradford. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
so Hull KR, they're only, like, for the Australian listeners, they're only the fifth team to
in
win
the Super League era. Yeah,
in the Super League era to win it. So it's a massive achievement. And like you said, I was probably in the same regard a little bit, where I thought, I hope this isn't a flash in the pan. I hope we can double down, because yourself, you have a good year, you get a target on your back the second year, teams turn up a lot more ready for you. So it was one of them where I was hoping they did well, and they've surpassed what everybody thought, really.
Well, you invest so much energy into each and every year, and the hardest part sometimes is going again. That's why I think Penrith, with what they've achieved, is beyond remarkable, because us as athletes, we know how much goes into that. I read Willie Peters talk about the mentality of the 5 a.m. boxer.
Yeah, I read
he did a piece for Sky Sports over in England, and it was like, just reading it got you motivated. And then again, he talks about what happens to that 5 a.m. boxer that is hungry as hell, to willing to do whatever it takes when they get the belt. And he spoke about, you get the cars, you get the girls, you get the free entry into a nightclub, everyone starts looking after you, but what got you there? So he's already, like, this is the crazy mentality of coaches. Yes, he's going to be part of this Ashes series, but he's already thinking next year, like, I want Hull KR to go again.
Yeah, he's already planting the seed ready, And that's the level of coaching, as you can tell, that he's brought to that club. He's got them hungry, and everyone sort of thought, and I know a lot of my friends in Hull sort of thought, once they won the Challenge Cup, that's enough. Celebrate.
Well, it is enough.
Yes, it would have been enough.
It is enough.
First one in 40 years, I think, 45 years. So it would have been enough, and they'd have still celebrated probably just as hard if they'd not won the treble.
Well, to be fair, Hull KR, Willie Peters, they could have dined out on that for 3-4 years.
Easy. And to not only do that, celebrate, you're going to have a little bit of a dip for a couple of weeks. It's going to happen, but to pick them back up and finish the way they did, again, the themes of the 5 a.m. boxer, you can see that when they play.
You certainly
you
can.
see it on the small efforts that win rugby league games that not a lot of people understand. You kick chase, you kick pressure, you inside pressure, numbers in the tackle, all those things. When you watch them, they just double down on all of those, and that's what wins big games. You can have fancy players and all that, but them little things win the big games.
Yeah, you could definitely forgive them for slackening off on those areas, but they certainly haven't. We'll get stuck into a bit of an Ashes preview, but Hodgie, everyone likes a good tall tale. Me and you were very closely bonded in camp. I can't even really remember why or how, but we'd have our day off walking. Like our day off in camp, you and I would often go for a walk, a little bit of coffee, breakfast. And people would start to talk and be like, what are they up to?
Botanical gardens.
We used to go to the botanical gardens.
Just for a wander.
And one particular time is etched in my memory. And I'm pretty sure it was you that said, should we have a go on the gondola? And look, with all due respect to our England teammates, I don't think any of them would have had the culture or the eloquence to have ventured into the botanical gardens. But the fear of being caught
on the gondola.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
No, I think you said it, and I was like, "Oh, gee, we can't."
I said it as a joke, and then you sort of went,
"Oh yeah, the old joke. Do you want to get on the gondola with me?" I'm only messing.
So it'd be a right laugh, and then as a bit of a toss up and just laugh about it, and then you was like, "What do you reckon? Do you reckon really?" And I was like, "Nah, I can't do that."
Right.
But we used to have some right laughs. I'd put my camo t-shirt on, jump in the bushes, send it to the boys.
Oh dear!
It was one of them things where people just go, "You're on tour, it's brilliant." Of course, it's brilliant. You're doing something you love, and you're away with your country, and you got good mates. It's something you love, but it's also hard. You're away from your family, so on them days off, you wanna enjoy them. Sit in your room, missing them, and all that kind of stuff. You're away anyway. You might as well make the most of it. So yeah, we had a good laugh. I think we walked half of Australia. I reckon.
We invite other people. We did invite.
We used to. Yeah, well, we never really
got many takers, did we?
No, we didn't.
We'd sometimes get a John Bateman or people would laugh and be like, "Well, what are you going there
Where
for?"
You going?
Let's go shopping in town. It's like, no, let's go. We're going to go for a walk.
Just go for a mooch along the beach.
We did catch a couple of our teammates at different times, wandering around them by themselves as well, which was always good.
Yeah, it's always nice to bump into someone when they think they're buying a Mrs. Summit or something like that.
Yeah. Getting a haircut as well.
Getting a haircut, getting Pat butchered.
That for me is always one of the highlights of the tour. Is people, most lads would be like, I was never one of these people, but a lot of lads that play professional sport, they get a haircut on a weekly basis. So fresh fade, they want to feel good about training. Obviously, feel good about being on TV rather. You go to a different city, your regular barber's not there, and maybe some things that are culturally acceptable here in Australia that maybe perhaps aren't in England when the English lads have come over. They maybe a bit of lost in translation, bit of a different of opinion about some of the fresh fades that people would come back.
There was a few extraordinary haircuts, that's all I'll say. They'd ask for a low fade and they'd come back looking like a nice gem. Nothing all the way up to the crown, and then just this big fringe. There was a few of them, few boys that hated looking in the mirror for a couple of days. It's funny, mate. And they're the best stories. Little things like that you just don't expect. They're the best.
There was some serious hat wearing going on. Do you remember when Jermaine McGilvery, he had his hairline done wrong,
and they cut it further back.
Yeah, they put it back.
At least he was happy about it.
Yeah, just took it I'll just grow back. Yeah. No worries. But,
I think that was the time as well. And I hope he's watching, Jez, because I know we joke about being tight. That man is the tightest man on the planet. And I swear he took a shirt for a free haircut too. Even though he would have done. I'm telling you, training kit or something.
There's There's no better currency than a signed jersey.
I'll look after you.
Yeah. Here you go.
I'll get all lads sign it.
I'll give him my boots after the game.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate. We had to fly out.
I didn't know it was flying at 5 a.m.
Oh, but mate, those times. I've said this before. Some of the little things that you miss,
like the fire alarm. That's one thing that I just never knew about. Yeah, and then we're in this building, and I know we've discussed it on here before, but we're in this building. The fire alarm goes off, and like there's someone going around saying, don't worry, it's fine on the bottom floor, and everyone sort of stays in the building. There's like cafes down the bottom, and we're on like the mezzanine level, and we're looking down and just see Jammer just walking out the front door. Like, Jammer, where you going? It's a fire alarm. It's a fire alarm, mate. I'm going. I can see your face now.
Because that's what you're supposed to do.
So
because when a fire alarm goes off, you go out the building.
But they'd said it's all right.
They didn't say it's all right.
They did. But little things like that, you just don't expect them, and then it just tickles you.
It's happened before at Triple M. We were at Shark Park, and the fire alarm at Shark Park went off. And bearing in mind, like Shark Park, it's not your best in terms of like facility, access. So this fire alarm's going off. I'm like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, you got to go right down the back of the stand.
Yeah, like there's I don't even know where the fire exit is. The lift or the elevator only takes like 2, and you don't get in an elevator when there's a fire. That's golden rule number 1. So I'm like scrambling, looking, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? Relax." I'm like, "No, this is how people die." Even, mate, you know what? Another thing, like put my seatbelt on a coach on the bus.
Yeah, I remember. That's another one. Just
but like,
what are you doing, Jammer? Well, I'm in a car. I need to put my belt on.
Yeah.
What if we crash? Yeah. Very valid point.
Mate,
it is a valid point.
It always messes with my head that it's like, your mode of transport, like you and your snazzy Tesla today.
Snazzy Tesla.
Like,
snazzy Tesla, lad.
Get your Tessie there, lad. If you don't put your belt on, it beeps. It becomes annoying, right? You'd probably be the type of person to like plug it in and sit on it just to be different, to be awkward.
I always wear a belt. Just when you're on the coach and you're like wandering down the back saying "Lads, few lads," winding someone up, chucking stuff about.
Yeah, but all right, your mode of transport is a big bus,
so it's not going to get knocked around too much.
But the thing is though, like why not put a seatbelt on? Like, what difference does it make? And people are like, what are you doing? It's like, it'll be different. Like, I'll be the one wearing the black armband. Or like, hey boys, if the worst happens, do you still want me to play, or would I have the week off for you? Or
not many good.
When the England B team fly in, and because all you lads are incapacitated or no longer with us, is it all right if I play? Because I wouldn't mind playing a test match. Or I know I'd be sad, but
what about airplanes then? Because that's not going to help you. So why the need? Is it because of turbulence if it drops? Why they don't want you to go flying out your seat?
I think they advise it for that, yeah. But that's different.
For that old, put your head down in between your legs, like I remember a comedian going on about it, saying you wake up and go, oh. Yeah. I'm still alive.
Look at him here. Yeah. He didn't put his head. He just crashed like this.
Yeah. Look at all these idiots. Yeah. They didn't put their head between the legs, did they? Just sat there by yourself in the middle of a mountain. Look at this. I got all this free gear.
But no, seriously, if the worst would have happened, I'm gonna level with you. I think I would have played. I just wore one black armband for you all to say, like,
for me.
Yeah. Well, you.
And, you got to wear 16.
16.
Just covered in them.
Yeah, just covered in them.
You look like one of my tattoos.
Yeah.
I'm half Samoan, you know.
Yeah.
Not many Samoans for me still.
Mate, John Bateman as well. Full Maori. Full Maori.
Full Maori from
Bradford.
Couldn't believe it when I heard.
Oh my God, mate! Just some of the, the favorite thing, like you say, some things that shock you, some things that don't. Obviously, you do get to know each other on a very deeply personal level. Like and the best and worst of traits come out in people, and sometimes like the next day after a good test win, you know, and then when drinks are flying and people get a bit silly, you know, and then the next morning when people are rough, there's nothing better. And even thinking back to that, I think we were in Brisbane and we saw John Bateman and Whitehead down in that cafe.
Yeah. Next day,
there was me and you with them too.
We'd had a bit of an early one, so he was all right.
Bateman told a story to me, then he told it to you, and then other people kept coming in, and he told the same story about 5 times.
I mean, he was just howling.
And he was just
eating his eggs Benedict.
Then he ordered eggs Benedict. Imagine being rough and ordering eggs Benedict.
Oh, mate. He's a funny lad.
He is.
One of a kind.
Mate, you know what? The John Bateman headlock is...
real.
It is the real deal. When I was home for the last World Cup, I ended up in the John Bateman headlock, and oh God, I literally, he's telling me, because he was just moving just before he'd gone back to Wigan, and then he was coming back here to play, and he was telling me about it, and he had to get me in the headlock to tell me. I was like, Patty, can we just have a normal conversation?
Yeah.
Right, come on. But some amazing times, and it is times like this where I personally I get a bit jealous and a bit envious. Even the fact of this is like an Ashes series. We never were afforded the opportunity. We did get to play against Australia. I know I can only speak for myself, but I'd love a 3-game series, like a proper series. Like you have that first game against them, or you play them in a big game. And you think, I just love you feel like you learn so much about your opposition. You feel like you can make improvements. So for me, this series, I'm incredibly jealous of what this group of men are about to be put before them.
Yeah, and it's one of them things, mate. I'm the same as you, and I still miss playing. I miss it every day. Sometimes I don't. If I've got not too much on, I've done most of my work, and I see the NRL training. Sometimes I won't go out because I just don't want that little itch to start buzzing away, and it's already going a little bit. And so I miss playing so much, and especially in occasions like this. You know, with all due respect to the other countries, with New Zealand and Tonga and Samoa, great sides. But Australia is seen as the number one, the best team in the world. So to go up against the best and test yourself against the best is the ultimate for me, to see how you're going to go. And like you say, if it don't go well or it does go well, what did we learn they do? What did we learn they're trying to do? How can we counteract it? And what do we want to do? You know, so you get all those questions, and it's like that little chess game. And I think, you know, the big thing that I think for England is that first game is going to be huge. I think if we can get them off the jump, I think we're a really good chance at Wembley. I think there's 50 or 60,000 tickets sold already for that one. Then the other 2 have sold out. So if we can get them off the jump when they're maybe not ready for us, and then you're going into the next 2 games 1-0 up, it's a lot
with sellouts in Liverpool and
Headingley.
Obviously, any Test series is the first game is absolutely vital. But I think when you usually with something like a State of Origin or usual Test series, there's a lot more time. Australia haven't had that much time together. They'll be still fresh working on combinations. Look, as will the English side, but I think the motivation for England is we've got to go like completely all in from the get-go. Look to rattle Australia from the beginning and then ride that out. And it's going to be, if England are going to win, I think I had a conversation with Luke Rickardson and Brett Camorley about the 03 Ashes, where Australia beat Great Britain in the last 5 to 10 minutes. They didn't win a game by more than 6 points, but all of those would come from behind victories in the last 10 minutes. So what can England learn from that? I think back how far like the English team has come. That semi-final against Tonga, you know, that came down to the last 10 minutes. We were backs against the wall, like, and that's the standard of football that this English team can expect. Where, okay, get off to a good start, but when you've got people like Cleary, Walsh, Munster, Grant, this can, like, you can be 10 points up with 5 minutes to go, and it is not over. Like, this team can put on points in, like, they can create an opportunity from nothing, and then their kick-off sets would be impeccable.
Yeah, I think I like what Sean's done with the outside backs, especially the wingers, tall, can catch above their head. We saw Joe Burgess in the final catch a couple of really nice balls above his head, and it's so important to get your set started well and also have good wingers who can catch the ball well. So I think we're going down the right track there. And I think in terms of, you know, making sure that we don't slide away at the back end, I think when you're in front, and a lot of teams do it, you go into that sort of self-preservation mode where you sort of go away from the game plan. And that don't mean you want to still keep throwing loads of shape for the sake of it. But if your game plan's worked, just stick to it. But just don't throw the risky 50-50s. And I think that's, if we get ahead, we don't want to start going one out and just kick to corners and try and go one out and just try and earn our way for our outside backs. Just stick to the game plan. If it's working, stick to it. Because I think that's where a lot of teams sometimes go wrong. You get a couple of scores up, 10 minutes to go, you start going one out, and then that's easy to defend. You know?
Yeah, it puts no fatigue in the opposition, right?
You know, you've got to keep asking questions, especially around those sort of scrum lines. We've got good back rowers. You know, if you can get your back rowers just sneaking 10 or 15 yards, and all of a sudden they've got to get back 25. And if you just keep working those smaller blokes over and stick to the game plan, that's where I reckon we can get him, is the detail on scenarios in games. I think that's one of the big things that helped me as a player, and Ricky did a lot of it at Canberra, was we did a lot of scenario stuff. Whenever we went well, it was usually off the years where we've done a lot of scenarios in pre-season. They'd just kick a ball out, shout a scoreline, how long's left, and play. So I think them scenarios and knowing what to do in each, you know, kick off, how do we want to start our first 10 minutes, what do we want to do? When we're in the grind, what do we want to sort of do? We want to throw the ball around? Do we want to get to scrum lines? Whatever your tactics are, know what you want to do in each position of the game. And then if it ain't going well, then that's when, you know, George and those blokes will put their hand up and change things on the run, because they're good players and they know how to do that. Yeah,
and you've got to be, I think, look, we're playing scenarios here, understand that, but, you know, if England are up, with not long to go, you've got to be on high alert for a Walsh 40-20, a Cleary 40-20, a Munster 40-20, a Graham 40-20. You've got to be
Munster strip, Grant
like
strip.
Munster strip, like all these things that can just, you know, it can be a moment. Like, look, the Cal Watkins ankle tap is 1 4-second moment, 5-second moment from a World Cup final. That, who knows? But there's so many things that could have changed that game, but. That's the highlight one. That's the one that you really think about. But something like that, a 40-20, a Munster one-on-one strip, a Grant one-on-one strip. These are the things that can change just through a lack of focus, maybe a lack of attention to detail, lack of awareness. And even, you know, you're talking there about how the game is played. You know, when things get desperate, it's funny how defenses dial up, and it is hot. Like, we can talk here about, we'll just shift the ball to get meters. We're not shifting for a line break. We're shifting to get meters, turn the opposition around, make them run back, which then makes the next carry better. But obviously, it's not as it's a lot easier saying it than actually doing it, because you do get tense, you do get nervous. And the opposition are playing at a higher intensity as well, because they realise what's at stake.
Well, I think a big deciding factor, when you think about the time of year that we're playing, end of October, November, probably going to be wet. It's going to be cold. Kicking game is going to be huge. Where we finish the ball, if you can put Australia's back five in a corner more often than not, that's going to go a long way, because then you're asking all those bigger blokes to get right back behind the ball. So our kicking game is going to be really important, and making sure that we win the set starts, because all those players you just touched on with Munster and all that, they love broken play and they love quick play of the ball. So we can negate that. Our kicking game is going to be huge on that, and not only that, flip the script. For us as Englishmen, we've got good wingers, we've got good outside backs that have strong carriers of the ball. So Australia will be saying the same things. If we don't finish our sets well, we've got Mikey Lewis, George Williams, Jeslett, and all these players that love open space and are quick. If they don't finish their sets well, they're going to be in a bit of trouble too. So it's going to be an interesting little chess match, and it'll be good to see how the Aussies come to the table with their game plan. I don't know which way they'll go with it being in the wet. I don't know whether they'll play a more expansive footy like sometimes we see from Isaiah Yeo with a lot of shape off him, or whether it'll be a bit more direct and safety first, kick to corners and grind it. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, we'll come to the Aussie squad in a moment, but just on England, they've gone big, like Big Al Walmsley back in the mixer. No Luke Thompson, who I think at the start of the year over in Super League, one of the form front rows, got a bit of an injury spell. He's been over and look, it probably wasn't his best football here in the NRL. The Dogs were in a different predicament. Probably didn't see the best of him, but
a lot of injuries.
I love Luke Thompson. He's not made the team. Jake Connor not making the team. A lot of press in England's focusing on who's not in, but I think it speaks volumes about how strong England have become with the strength and depth that we've now got. And just looking at this team on paper, it's got the ability to break it up. Some people questioning John Bateman's inclusion. Like, in terms of form for NRL, I can understand the reservation. But, Hodgie, every single England game that me and John Bateman played, we stood next to each other to sing the anthem. And there's a reason for that. Like, I wanted him right by my side. I jokingly spoke about the John Bateman headlock. You know what's better than being in the John Bateman headlock? Having his arm around you, saying, we're going after this. He fears absolutely nobody. Reputations of some of these superstar players from Australia will not be given two flying Fs from John Bateman. He will just not care. He is there to win this game. He is a winner. Look at current form, but he'll put that England jersey on. And I think that's what Sean Wayne has recognised in this, that John Bateman is going out there with a man on a mission mentality to just go completely buck wild out there.
Well, the one thing he brings every single week is he competes, and he'll compete whether you're 60-0 down or 60-0 up. He'll compete exactly the same. And if we want to win a series, you've got to have 1-17 being that exact same mentality. And yeah, I get it. He's getting a little bit older, and Cowboys didn't play real well this year, which hurts you as a back rower, because you probably aren't going to be playing your best footy if your team aren't. But he's just a competitor who, like you say, mate, he fears no one, and his energy. People don't understand his energy, and you was very similar. Sam was very similar. Your energies are infectious, and infectious energy can be negative and it can be positive.
Yeah.
And he's one of them kids who just raises the bar and raises the belief, especially when you look at some of the kids that have never played.
Yeah.
The Australians have never played. Most of these players, they're playing Super League. They don't know a lot about these players. He'll give them that belief where, he plays against these every week. He knows. And if he's going out, say, I'm telling you, we'll get these. The belief he's going to drive in the squad and that competitiveness he drives in the squad. And not only that, you show me an England game where John Bateman's played really poor.
Yeah, it doesn't
show
exist.
Me one. So that's where I go, Sean Wayne is not a stupid coach. If he's picked someone or he's left someone out, it's for a reason or it's for a tactic in the terms of how he wants to play.
Well look, Junior Nasemba, one of the stars of the game in England, not selected, John Bateman in. But some of the things that you're talking about there, I know what it's like to play for England before I came over here in the NRL. And there is an element of like you put the Aussies on such a pedestal, because a lot of the time in England you only really get access to the highlight reel stuff, which.
Especially when we was coming from.
Yeah, when we was... Well, it's probably a little bit different now, but, probably most of the players there, they're not watching, 4 or 5 games.
No.
You just can't do it. You don't have the capacity. They may get a couple of games here and there a week. Most would be students of the game. But you come face to face with the highlight reel stuff, which you can be like, wow, I've never seen anything like that. This guy's a monster. Even with the coaches, what they piece together is usually the opposition's best.
Mate,
which you can feel like...
That's one of my biggest pet peeves, and that's something that I used to talk about a fair bit. Obviously, mainly when I was at Canberra, because at Para I didn't get too long because I got injured. But if the coaches had put a bit of a package together where it made this team look unbelievable, and we was playing a good team, I'd quite often get the players and say, listen, I could have put the same 10 clips that we've just watched, I could have put 10 bad ones, and you'd be stood here feeling like they're terrible.
Yeah.
So don't read into that. We just do us.
Yeah.
And so you're right there, mate. You can, everyone's got good highlight reels.
Yeah.
Even a kid who plays local rugby, you could put highlight reels together and go, he's amazing. You've just got to know and trust in your own ability and your team's ability. And like you touch on with us, you do sort of look up to them a little bit because you're the other side of the world, and the NRL seen as the biggest in terms of not only revenue but in terms of the fatigue in the game and all that kind of stuff. You do look up to it, and then when you get here and you immerse yourself in it,
you realize it's just
it's just a game where you got to work a little bit harder for a little bit longer to get those results. As the top teams in England playing against each other, that's a good standard, but it's the depth between the bottom sides over here which keeps that level a bit higher. That's the England boys have got nothing to worry about at all. And I think for England especially, and I was a little bit the same. I loved my country so much. Sometimes I'd get a little bit of imposter syndrome. Even as I got older, and I sort of questioned myself a bit, and never really played as well for my country as what I should have done. Really, looking back when we talk about being hindsight, being retired, never really played as well as what I should have done, and it wasn't till sort of probably as that Tonga game, I'd started really well, and then unfortunately did my knee and had a good test series in 18, and then started to get that bit of belief as I got older. But when I was younger, I had a bit of that sort of...
I'm almost in fear of this opposition because...
Am I supposed to be here? And
you feel on edge, you feel nervous,
and,
I could get exposed here. But that, for not just on the field, but there's more that goes into a performance than the 80 minutes. John Bateman is going to bring that level of belief. So some of these younger forwards, or maybe these less experienced forwards that haven't played Australia yet, a lot of these players, it's their first time against Australia. They've had test series against Samoa and Tonga, which they've been successful in. But this is a first time against Australia where, you can almost be beaten before you've walked out there. And that's probably some of the importance of it being a series. So if they don't get the victory or the performance in game one, you can look to game two. It's like, boys, you actually figured out you belong. Yeah, sweet, now we can go. But what John Bateman is arguably there for is to ensure that these players believe in themselves, because he'll be preparing in the week as relaxed as anybody. Those players are gonna look to Bateman and go, well, I know I can compete with Bateman. Like, I've played against him when he's at Wigan, and he's here in training, and he looks, he's not worried. I'm not going to say he looks relaxed, but he's certainly not looking worried.
And that's when you touched on like emotions in terms of when you're a leader in a team and stuff like that. As a coach and as a leader, or you're a captain or a senior bloke, whatever you are, that energy, it'll rub off. So if you have someone who's the wrong way, it'll rub off a bit too much. And if you have someone who's the right way, it'll rub off in a good way. So that's what he brings. You've got to have that calm in the chaos mentality where you look at your older bloke and go, yeah, sweet. If your older bloke stressing, you're going, ooh, are we all right? Are we in a bit of trouble here this week? So, and that's, for a lot of those younger boys in the team, he'll be a really reassuring arm, and how vocal he is as a player when he gets us in a group and stuff like that around training. He's a born leader, John, and I loved playing alongside him for England and for Canberra.
Yeah.
He's just a competitor, and he won't take a step back for anybody. And like you touched on with some of these forwards, Matty Lees, Aledski, Mike McMeekin, Owen Trout, don't think any of them have really played a lot of these Aussies before. So to have someone like John and I know Big Al will be driving that too. In terms of we just go after these.
Well, they were both there from the 17 World Cup, weren't they? So they know just how close they can be.
And in that final, we lost. Well, I did my knee, and Sean O'Loughlin did his quad, and we got beat 6-0.
Yeah, we were on the bones of our arse in terms of the squad, and the team that we came up against that particular day. Like, with all due respect to some of the players in the Australian side, Billy Slater, Cam Smith. Like,
blokes that are going to go down as the best to ever do it.
Like, and as amazing as Reece Walsh is, and as amazing as Harry Grant is, they're some of the best. They're probably Harry Grant, definitely best 9 in the world, best position player. No qualms about that.
No.
But he's not Cam Smith.
No.
And as amazing as Walsh is, like, he one of the most incredible final series you're ever likely to witness. So he's hot, he's in form, he's in great touch, but he's not quite Billy Slater.
Well, the thing that makes people like Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, all these legends of the game, the thing that makes them the best is not that they did it. They did it for so long.
Yeah.
And you knew every week what was coming, and you knew there was going to turn up every week. They played, 10, 15-year careers, and you didn't ever really see a dip in form. It was just so consistent, and that's what makes them greats.
Yeah.
We've all had years where we've been good and then died away a little bit and things like that. But if you want to be looked at as great at the game, them two was experienced by that time, which brings a lot of calmness into the side. Had been around in massive games a long time. They know how to win big games. So to play against that team and just fall short, I thought was, it was heartbreaking, to be honest, especially sat on the sidelines, not being able to help. So I think that it's a really good chance for us to go out and put a stamp on us as an international team, and and to be fair, without saying it politically, shut a few people up. To be honest, I'm sure that's what the England lads will be thinking. That's what I'd be thinking if I was in there.
Yeah,
shut everyone up. They expect us just to get whitewashed.
Well, one of those people in particular, it'd be Aaron Woods. I spoke a little bit about my thoughts on him. I thought it was pretty disrespectful what he was saying.
Yeah, I did. I like Woodsy. I've met him a few times. Great bloke. But to watch a speech from an England coach and a coach who's been around a long time, and then basically says falling asleep watching it, like, mate, you want Jared Warrior-Hargreaves? You want you was a steady front rower who didn't really intimidate anyone. You had a good offload and you was big. Let's not be disrespectful and make out he was, Mac O'Mealy or this big aggressive front rower that put me to sleep and all that kind of stuff. There's just no need for it. I get it. You're in the media. You want to keep your name in the headlights, all that kind of stuff. But if you want earned your stripes to be talking like that, you shouldn't be, in my opinion. So, and even if you have, it's just disrespectful.
Yeah,
if one of the English lads had done that about Kevin Walters, what would he be saying?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
If one of us, ex-English, turned around and said that about
yourself, and you've earned more stripes than him. So if you go,
Kevin, you just don't do it.
No,
it just wouldn't happen.
Even if you thought it, you'd never say it.
Yeah.
So I get it. People like to do things for clicks in this day and age, and I'm sure that's what it was. But I just don't like that.
I tell you what, I'll give him $1,000 if he says it to Sean Wayne's face when he's over for the World Cup.
Me too.
I'll give him $1,000 if he does it.
Talking about spinning and ripping to your front and all that.
Yeah. Sean Wayne. I don't think he'd hold back.
No, he won't. No. And again, I like him. I'm sure he's doing it to keep himself in the headlines and stuff. But there's just no need for it. You can do that just by knowing what you're on about.
Yeah, exactly. Just on the Australian squad, look, littered with stars. We know what they're going to bring, Hodgie. But a lot of experience at origin level, representative level, a host of grand final winners from this year, from years gone by, but not that much in terms of like Australian experience. Even think back to that 17 World Cup. I don't think there's a player on this list that was a part of that. So, look, that's not necessarily a bad thing, not necessarily I think 17? So
It's a
we're
bit of a
talking
blank.
8 years. It's such a long time. Like we understand the evolution and how the jersey would change. I guess the pressure's on Australia to deliver.
Yeah,
Look, we've spoke about England and talked them up, and rugby league isn't like I've got the 2 squad lists here, but it's not played on these 2 sheets of paper. It's not played on ChatGPT. It's played at Wembley. It's played at Hill Dickinson, and it's played at Headingley. Do you think the Aussies would be aware that they're under not just pressure to win the series, but they're based off like 82, 86, 90, 2003. Like there's pressure here to win 3-0 and win well.
Well, I think, for me, mate, I think this is, for us as English, the best time to get them, to be honest. Like you touched on, we've not played them since 2017. There's no one in that side from that game. And also, they've just got a new coach. So they've just got, Mal's not there no more. They've got a new coach. They've got a lot of players who will be making the first, pulling on that jersey for the first time, and a lot of players who've never played a lot of these English lads before, which is something we touched on, you know, which is, it can be a positive and it can be a negative. The negatives are you don't know the inside and outs of the player opposite you, if he's got a good palm and a fend and a flick and all that kind of stuff. So they'll be questioning themselves, even though they're favourites and they'll have a bit of pressure for being favourites. They'll be going into this sort of wondering how strong this English side's going to be, which is a big advantage for us, which is, again, what I touched on about getting them from the jump. I think if we can get them from the jump and win that first game, that'll put a lot of doubt in their minds in terms of not only the squad, was we just a bit caught off guard with the jet lag and stuff, or are we a bit off the mark? Are we, you know, all these questions pop in your head when you underachieve, and if they lose, they will have underachieved even the first game, because they're the boxer that's paying $1.05 against the boxer that's maybe paying $1.50.
Yeah.
So the pressure's on them. So for England, they can go. No one really expects them to win the series. They can just go play English style of rugby and go attack them. So a lot of pressure on the Australian side, and I think for me, it's going to be one of those really interesting decisions on what team they put together, what halves they put together. You know, you've obviously got Mitch Moses, Cameron Munster, and then you've got Nathan Cleary as well. So you've got the wealth of riches there. You've got Blake Brayley, you've got Harry Grant. They've got some great players. So sometimes if you try and fit everybody in, it can kind of go wrong. And even with the forward pack and the outside backs, they've got some real quality. And with that comes headaches. And then, as I say, if you get beat off the jump, people start questioning, you know, should I have picked him, or was that the right decision? And, you know, that's what we want. Get them off the jump, get them questioning themselves, new coach, a few new players, and see how we go. But I tell you one thing, it's going to be exciting. Like, I'm really excited for this Ashes series. And again, touching on being jealous, I'd love to be a part of it. It's just, as a player, it's just one of them games you just want to be in, isn't it?
This Test series, the 3-game series, bypassed so many, of the best of a generation of English players, best of a generation of Australian players. So I sincerely hope that both the Aussies and the English go after it, because this is huge, and pay their respects to maybe perhaps some of those players that missed out on the opportunity to have a 3-game series, because it is special. And you know, for me and you as has-beens, like we'd look back and be going, oh, like how good would it have been to be a part of this series? The opportunities that are afforded, like and are in front of you, win, lose or draw. This is huge, and I think there's a lot riding on this test series. Hopefully, if it's competitive, it becomes a regular part of the international calendar, a 4-year cycle. We know that it was delayed due to COVID. I think it was supposed to be 2020 from memory.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But then COVID obviously affects that. Even think about some of the players that were still playing them, one being yourself, that was earmarked to play a test in the Ashes series. COVID hits, that misses you.
Yeah.
Like because of a global pandemic, you don't get to play
Yeah,
like
there's
it's
a lot of
like,
players in the same boat, isn't
and
there?
a lot of players in the Australian boat that would admit. I think Cam Smith was still active
Maybe,
then.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, he was.
yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. He won it in 2020 years. So this Test series, there's people that would have been looking at it, going, "Oh, how good's this? I'm going to get to play." Well, no, you miss out because of COVID. So,
and you want to go down in history. I know when we used to play a Test series, when we played the Kiwis, and then when we played the World Cup, we'd often talk about how long it's been since, and you want to put your stamp on that. It's been, I think it was 8 years since we won the first Test in 15.
Yeah.
It was 8 years before that we'd even won one, and then it was the first World Cup final in, was it maybe 20 odd years? It was a long time. So you want to put your stamp on, I was part of that team. And I'm sure these boys will be thinking exactly that. And I'm sure Sean Wayne will be talking about that, talking about going down in history, because that's why we all play the game. And be successful, and you're around to be remembered for being successful. So it's a really good challenge, and I think it'll be a really competitive game. I do. I think the conditions will help us. I think we've obviously gone with a bigger pack. I love that. Alex Walmsley is in the side. I don't think he was in the squad earlier in the year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's come back.
He's come back. Right, yeah. And I love that he's in the team, because you can be a really good defender, but if Alex Walmsley's sprinting at you, you're in problems. You're getting 3 and 4 in every time, and then that's what he brings to a team, a bit of chaos. You get a bit of chaos in a defensive line, your best players step up. So I love that he's in the side,
me too.
And he's just a competitor. Anyone that goes, who doesn't know a lot about him, go watch a few of St Helens games from the back end of the year, and he's an out-and-out in your stripes front row, just runs hard and plays tough, old school.
In your stripes.
Yeah. Well, we're on about it earlier, you say. he runs hard and just charges into people, and like John Bateman, does not take a step back for no one. And he's another one of those older leaders that's going to go, jump on my back when he's on the field. So I'm looking forward to seeing him go.
Well, it's going to be an early start for you, Hodgie, over here in Australia at 1:30 a.m. It's not just England v Australia, though. We've also got the Pac champs. We'll touch on that very, very quickly, because I realised we are quite time poor. New Zealand coming up against Samoa this Sunday. So today, at time of recording, that's coming out. I had a look at the teams on paper. My goodness me, the international game is in a strong position. Kieran Foran making his farewell couple of games. I thought he was busted after the Gold Coast, but he's strapping the boots up 2 or 3 more times. But this game itself, New Zealand v Samoa, I think, talk about pressure. All the pressure's on New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, both forward packs, both teams match up really well, but a lot of pressure on New Zealand. And I think it's in Auckland, but there's a possibility there's more Samoan fans there than there is Kiwi fans.
Yeah, mate, for me, the pressure is going to be on the Kiwis. And again, talking about that Tonga game in the semi in 17, the amount of Tongan fans there was unbelievable, and how much of an atmosphere they created.
Still the best atmosphere I've ever played at. Look, England are going to Wembley. I've been there to play in the Challenge Cup, Old Trafford, Accor Stadium. Like, nothing beat that game for atmosphere. And New Zealand can expect some of the same.
Yeah, I reckon, mate. And when you go through the sides, they're very evenly matched. And, you even start at the fullback. You got Nickel-Klokstad and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck
going up against it.
Club.
I thought that.
Chance he's a great player, and everyone was sort of saying, should Roger be there? Should Chance be there?
I've been one that said that.
What a battle that's going to be. So again, just seeing who wins that one, and then the wingers, who's going to win that battle, and you go right through the side, and you get to the halves, you get Foran and you're more likely going to be Foran and Dylan Brown. And then you're going up against Jerome Luai, and who are we reckoning the other one's going to be? I did have a look yesterday.
It's been named, so it's Luai and Luai's in 7, and Blaise Talagi in 6.
Yeah, young Blaise. Sorry, how did I forget Blaise? Luai and Blaise. So again, Luai, a lot of experience. Blaise, just a great kid, great player. He's going to have a fantastic career. Parramatta Junior, who obviously jumped across to Penrith, but that's a great battle.
Yeah,
that's because. Again, Blaise going up against Dylan Brown. Dylan Brown's, everyone probably thinking a bit more experienced, but I know he'll love that challenge. So there's a lot of one-on-one battles that I can't wait to see.
Big Nelson Asafa Solomona in the shop window as well, playing Test football. Got that release from Melbourne. Be interesting to see how he goes. I often just think he's just too tall for the game. I don't know.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's not malice.
It's not.
And this is
it's aggression.
Yeah.
It's aggression, not malice.
And this is where it's hard when you're doing a lot of the discussion, and I don't want to get onto bans and stuff like that, but a lot of it's got to come into account. You know.
Yeah.
You saw.
It's so different. Yeah.
And even to a different degree, obviously one of my mates, Jack Whiten, got 4 games for a clash where he kind of got his head in the wrong spot and ended up hitting someone high, and then I think it was Pat Carrigan who whacked someone straight around the face down at Canberra, got a fine.
Yeah,
so you got 4 games, one game, yeah. You know, and then same with Nelson. You know, he's a big man and he's gonna get things wrong. And I know you can't get things wrong, but he's not going out there thinking I'm gonna whack this bloke.
When people say bend your knees, bend your back, it's like
well, if you're 6'7", you've got to do that. You know, good luck to you. It's hard.
It is hard, but I think like. I don't know if putting himself in the shop window is the right phrase. Like I think clubs would be, no matter what he dishes up over this pack championship, would be looking at him going, we'd see him as a valuable addition to our forward pack. He brings X factor. He brings that size. It comes with the risk, obviously, with his suspension history. But looking forward to seeing him play. Xavier Willison not in the side due to the strength of the Kiwi forward pack, like Nafahu White, what a player he is. How do you tip this one? I even for the whole series itself, I'm going to ask you, but this New Zealand v Samoa game to kick things off. Kiwi, I'm going to lean towards the Kiwis.
I'm leaning towards the Kiwis, and the main reason I'm leaning towards the Kiwis is when I looked at Samoa's squad, they've got no full 9. They've got Jazz Tavaga and then Chanel Harris-Tavita.
Yeah.
That's a big area you got to get right. You go left when you should have gone right in big games when you could not get that opportunity for another 4 or 5 sets. It makes a big difference. So not having a recognised 9 in their team who's been there for a while, I think that's going to be a big problem that they want to address, especially for next year for the World Cup. I reckon that's the area where New Zealand will have the upper hand, and I think a lot of these kids for the Kiwis have played together a few times now. They obviously beat Australia a couple of years ago. They'll have that belief going in there. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I don't know which way it's going to go. I love being a neutral in these games.
Yeah,
I just love watching it.
That's it. It's going to be great for any neutral, any rugby league fan out there watching this pack championship, especially New Zealand, Samoa, Tonga. Flip to week 2, Suncorp Stadium. Really, if it's not a sellout already, it will be come week 2. Tonga v Samoa or Samoa v Tonga, whatever, however you want to drum this up, this is going to be again. It is going to be insane up there. I'm trying to figure out how I can watch it from the UK. Like I don't know if it will be on Sky Sports over there, but this is a game that you cannot miss. I might have to get the VPN and get my KO app up and running. So. This is one that is not to be missed.
And I think for the international game, I remember back, I think it might be in the World Cup in 17 when Tamalolo switched. And ever since then, the international game's just exploded. And I think you see all these players now putting their hand up to play for the home nations. And it's just made it. You look at the sides, you go through every team and it's just strong. Right? And that's what we need in terms of rugby league to grow the game and all that kind of stuff. If we want to grow the game as big as we say, we've got to have a big international game, and it's just getting stronger and stronger. You look at these two sides, and no disrespect, but 10 years ago, you'd go Australia or Samoa, we should get these.
Yeah.
They'll have a couple of good players, but we should get them. The rest of the players are sort of fringe players.
Yeah.
And now these are all great players with NRL players week in, week out. So it's going to be a really good challenge. And again, I just love games that are physical.
Yeah.
And you know what you're getting with the New Zealand side, the Samoan, the Tongan sides. They're going to be physical. They're just going to go after each other, and they're not going to leave anything out there. So they're going to leave everything out there. Sorry. So it's going to be a great Pacific Championship.
Yeah,
I can't wait to watch that one too.
I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I even had a quick look at the Fijian side. Again, on paper, no kick out either. They're starting to make some moves on the international scene.
too.
PNG as well, obviously with a franchise team coming in not that far away. So the international game is in a great spot. Hodgie, just quickly to finish us off, a tip for the Pac Championships. Who takes it out? New Zealand, Samoa, or Tonga?
I think New Zealand take it out. My head says New Zealand, my heart says Samoa. I think I've got a feeling Samoa could do it, but if I'm going just on my footy head,
Mate,
I think New Zealand.
I've got Tonga to win it.
Have you?
Yeah.
See, I don't see it.
See, I reckon with Katoa.
Yes.
I reckon. Izzy Katoa for me is
straightens him up so well.
What, like the jewel in the crown. Look, you talk about that physicality, which is what is going to be a big aspect of this. But I think of all the halves and all the spine players that are available, especially I should say more the halves. He's the elite
to manage
of them
that
all.
game. And,
to manage that game, the way that he plays. Obviously, New Zealand have got that experience in foreign. Luai at Samoa, who, you know, is one of the best in the business. But I think Katoa is now if I was picking halves from all those, he'd be the one. And I think that's what's going to get them, because I think they're pretty evenly matched in other areas.
If you're picking in terms of a player as an out-and-out 7, he's the one.
He's your man, isn't he?
He's your man out of all of those halves in the Pacific Championship. Yeah. So be interesting to see how it plays out. And he's one of those blokes where you just love him in your team.
Yeah.
If I was a club, he's one of those kids where you'd be chucking 10-year deals at him, especially. So it'd be great to see him play. And again, I hope I'm wrong, but I think my head goes with New Zealand, and yeah, we'll see. I'll go New Zealand, you'll go Tonga, and we'll have a bet.
Yeah, well, you've got the tribal tattoo, so I just
why I said heart Samoa. You know,
yeah. Well, Christian Wolf coaching Tonga as well, which is
great coach.
Obviously I've got so much love and admiration for him, but
it's going to be that tight, and that's the best thing about it. It's hard to pick, and that's what we want in the international game. And as I touched on 10 years ago, we're always going, well, New Zealand will win. Let's see how the other two go.
10 years ago. Great to see. 10 years ago, if this Pac Championships is happening, just give it to New Zealand.
Yeah, and that's whereas now we're like maybe.
Yeah. Maybe not even maybe.
Yeah,
I reckon it's Tonga's. Tonga for me, Tonga should be favourites. But Hodgie, it's been great to catch up with you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Bar Round, taking us down memory lane, and all the very best with all the future endeavours. I know that you're going to make an amazing coach. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jamsy.
Cheers, lad.